Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. I am your host, Josh Davis, also known as Crash. Today is Thursday, January 26, 2023, and I am here to talk to you guys about tonight's 6-game slate in the NBA. If you're new to the channel, if you would hit the like button and then hit subscribe. After you've done those two things, if you would hit the alarm bell, that will let you know when our newest podcast has gone live. If you're new to DFS Coach Talk, we would love to have you join us. You can join us at dfscoachtalk.com. We have memberships that start as low as $9 a week. DFS Coach Talk is very family-friendly, very positive, very encouraging environment. So we would love to have you join us and join us in our Discord. We have a lot of fun. And like I said, it's a very encouraging environment. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this 6-game slate we have tonight. The first game is going to be between the New York Knicks and the Boston Celtics. This game has a 221 over-under, so it has the lowest over-under on the slate, I believe. Looks like actually Dallas and Phoenix are tied, and now Cleveland and Houston has moved below it. So tied for second lowest. Boston is favored by 8.5. Mitchell Robinson continues to be out for the Knicks, and then Evan Fournier looks like he's questionable. Marcus Smart is still out for Boston, and of course Gallinari is still out. Projected starting lineup for the Knicks, we've got Jalen Brunson, Quentin Grimes, RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, and Jericho Sims. For the Celtics, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Al Horford, and Robert Williams. For this game, I don't really like anybody on the Knicks so far. If anything changes before, in Discord, I'll let you guys know. But at this point, none of the Knicks stand out to me. I do like a few of the Celtics. Obviously, Jason Tatum, he's 11-2 on DraftKings, 11-3 on FanDuel, $48 on Yahoo. New York has allowed the 6th most fantasy points to small forwards this year, and he is averaging 61.1 DraftKings points in his last 5 games. I also like Jaylen Brown. He's a little bit cheaper. He's almost 3,000 cheaper on FanDuel. He's 9,400 on DraftKings, 8,500 on FanDuel, and $37 on Yahoo. He's averaged 49.1 DraftKings points in his last 5 games against the Knicks. The other play that I like with Marcus Smart out is Malcolm Brogdon. 6,000 on DraftKings, 5,800 on FanDuel, and $20 on Yahoo. Actually like both him and Derek White. I think Brogdon could be a little bit lower owned, so that's why I'm leaning towards Brogdon, but we'll take a look at ownership here in a minute. You also have Derek White, 5,900 on DraftKings, 6,000 on FanDuel, and $19 on Yahoo. What's up, Doug? Just saw you came in. Next game we have at also 7:30 p.m. Eastern, Detroit Pistons at the Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn is favored by 8.5. This game has a 236.5 over under. For the Pistons, Isaiah Livers is questionable, and same thing with Isaiah Stewart. Those two are both questionable, so we'll have to see if they're going to play or not. Marvin Bagley and Corey Joseph are out. For the Nets, Joe Harris is going to be a play that I like. Seth Curry is ruled out. And then, of course, Durant's still out. And Day'Ron Sharpe was also ruled out. Royce O'Neal is probable, so I expect him to play. For the Pistons, their projected starting lineup, we've got Killian Hayes, Jaden Ivey, Bojan Bogdanovic, Isaiah Stewart if he plays. I'm not sure he's going to play. And then Jalen Duren. For the Brooklyn Nets, you've got Kyrie Irving, Joe Harris, Royce O'Neal, Ben Simmons, and Nick Claxton. On the Detroit side, I like Bogdanovic. He's 6,900 on DraftKings and FanDuel, so his prices come up quite a bit over on those two sites. Not as much on Yahoo. It's only 24, so it's only been like maybe a $1 or $2 increase from where it was a couple months ago. So pretty good value, especially on Yahoo. He had 33.8 DraftKings points last time he faced Brooklyn, which was on December 18th. I also like Jalen Duren. He's 5,100 on DraftKings, 6,200 on FanDuel, and $19 on Yahoo. He just had a monster game against my Bucks on Monday, with 52.3 DraftKings points. And he had a decent game on December 18th. He had 29.8 DraftKings points. But with all the injuries, especially if Isaiah Stewart's out. Now, if Isaiah Stewart plays, probably not going to go to Duren. But assuming he's still out, I think he will be, then Jalen Duren is definitely in play. For the Nets, Kyrie Irving continues to be a top play. He's 10-3 on DraftKings, 10-1 on FanDuel, $41 on Yahoo. The Pistons have allowed the second most fantasy points to point guards this year. His last 5 games, he's averaged 58.9 DraftKings points. So definitely like Kyrie. Nicholas Claxton's been playing really well lately. He's 7,600 on DraftKings, 8,200 on FanDuel, $29 on Yahoo. The Pistons have allowed the 8th most fantasy points to centers, and he's averaged 44.4 DraftKings points in his last 6 games. So Nicholas Claxton's definitely taken advantage of the usage with Kevin Durant not in the lineup. Then you have Joe Harris with Seth Curry out. Joe Harris is 4,100 on DraftKings, 4,600 on FanDuel, and $10 on Yahoo. Next game, we have the Chicago Bulls at the Charlotte Hornets. This game has a 235 over-under. Detroit Brooklyn, I don't think I mentioned, has a 236.5 over-under. So a little bit higher over-under there. Let me see. I think that might be the highest. Yeah, that is the highest. So Detroit Pistons and Brooklyn Nets have the highest over-under on the slate. So we got the Charlotte Hornets hosting the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls are favored by 6 on the road with a 235 over-under. Lonzo Ball, Goran Dragic, and Javonte Green are out for Chicago. Looks like Terry Rozier is expected to play. LaMelo Ball is questionable. I don't think he's going to play. We'll see what happens. I don't think he's going to play. And then Gordon Hayward is also questionable, and I'm not sure if he's going to play either. And then you have Cody Martin and Kelly Oubre Jr. are out. For the Bulls, the projected starting lineup, we've got Ayo Dosunmu, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Patrick Williams, Nikola Vucevic. For the Hornets, they show LaMelo Ball, but I don't think he's going to play. Terry Rozier, Gordon Hayward, I also don't think he's going to play. PJ Washington and Mason Plumlee. I like in this game, obviously, the center position against the Hornets. They've allowed the most fantasy points to centers, so Nikola Vucevic is squarely in play. 9,000 on DraftKings, 8,400 on FanDuel, $36 on Yahoo. I also like as a little bit of a value. The Hornets have allowed the second most fantasy points to power forwards. So I like Patrick Williams here, 4,700 on DraftKings, 5,100 on FanDuel, $14 on Yahoo. The Hornets side, as of right now, I don't have anybody. We'll see if that changes, but right now I don't have anyone that I like in my lineups. Next game, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers at the Houston Rockets. It's an 8 p.m. Eastern start. As I mentioned, it has one of the lowest, if not the lowest, I think it is the lowest. Yeah, the lowest over-under at 219.5. Cleveland's a really good defensive team. They're favored by 9 here. Kevin Love is questionable. Same thing with Donovan Mitchell. And then for the Rockets, Kevin Porter Jr. is still out. Jason Tate is out. And Eric Gordon is out. Projected starting lineup for Cleveland, we have Darius Garland, Karis LeVert, Isaac Okoro, Evan Mobley, and Jarrett Allen. For the Rockets, Jalen Green, Garrison Matthews, Kenyon Martin Jr., Jabari Smith Jr., and Alperen Sengun. Let's see here. So for the Cavs, if Mitchell plays, the Rockets have allowed the most fantasy points to point guard, so he's squarely in play. He's 8,800 on DraftKings, 8,600 on FanDuel, $38 on Yahoo. I don't think he's going to play, though. I think Darius Garland's going to be a really nice play. Not quite, paying up to the double-digit numbers, but, 8,600 on DraftKings, 8,400 on FanDuel, $36 on Yahoo. And he has 50 to 60 fantasy point upside against a matchup like Houston. Karis LeVert, if Mitchell's out, obviously he's a good play when he starts. He's 5,600 on DraftKings, 5,500 on FanDuel, and $15 on Yahoo. So Karis LeVert's also in play. And that's going to do it for that game. Not a whole lot there with a 219.5. Cleveland's just so good defensively, so I'm not going to be playing very many Houston Rockets, if any. Next game, we have at 10 p.m. Eastern, the Dallas Mavericks and the Phoenix Suns. So we have Coach's favorite team and Deb's favorite team. Phoenix is favored by 1.5. This game has, as I mentioned earlier, it's tied for the second lowest over-under at 221. So it's one of these games that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. But from a DFS standpoint, not a whole lot there that I like. The only play that I even have in this game is going to be Luka. But let me go ahead and go over the injuries before we go there. For the Mavericks, you've got Christian Wood. He's questionable. He's got a fractured thumb that he aggravated last night. So I don't think he's going to play. And then Maxi Kleber is still out for Dallas. And then for Phoenix, Devin Booker's still out. Jay Crowder, he's probably going to be traded. Cameron Payne out and Landry Shamet out. So we've got for the Suns, for the Mavericks, first of all, we have Luka Doncic, Spencer Dinwiddie, Tim Hardaway Jr., Dorian Finney-Smith, and Dwight Powell. For the Suns, Chris Paul, Mikal Bridges, Torrey Craig, Cameron Johnson, and DeAndre Ayton. Like I said, the only play that I would even consider in this game is Luka, especially if Christian Wood is out. He's just going to get a lot of usage. But Phoenix has allowed the third fewest fantasy points to point guards this year. And his last couple games against the Suns, he's only scored 57.6 average DK points. So not getting what we need for him for his price. 12.7 on DraftKings, 12,000 on FanDuel, at $58 on Yahoo. So I'll be looking to fade Luka tonight. The last game of the night, we have the Spurs and the Clippers. 10:30 p.m. Eastern, has a 234.5 over under. I believe it's the second highest over under, third, just right behind the Detroit, Brooklyn, and Chicago, Charlotte games. And the Clippers are favored by 13. So that's a pretty big favorite. I know that, the record discrepancy is definitely there. But as we've mentioned several times, whenever we expect a blowout, it usually doesn't happen. So, I expected a blowout last night with all those guys out for Denver, and that game was close up until the final minutes in Milwaukee. So for the Spurs, you've got Stanley Johnson and Josh Richardson are questionable. Jeremy Sohan is looking like he's not going to play. Romeo Langford and Devin Vassell are out for the Clippers. John Wall is still out, and Marcus Morris and Luke Kennard are questionable. The projected starting lineup for San Antonio: Trey Jones, Malachi Branham, Keldon Johnson, Keita Bates-Diop, Jakob Poeltl. For the Clippers: Terrence Mann, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Marcus Morris if he plays, and Ivica Zubac. On the Spurs side, I like Trey Jones. The Clippers have allowed the sixth most fantasy points to point guards this year. He's 6,300 on both DraftKings and FanDuel. He's $25 on Yahoo. Also like a few value plays in Zach Collins. He's 3,700 on DraftKings, $10 on Yahoo, 5,300 on FanDuel. I'm most likely not going to get to that, especially when you can look at Keita Bates-Diop, 3,000 on DraftKings, 3,700 on FanDuel, and $10 on Yahoo. So with Langford out and Sohan doubtful, Diop is definitely in play on FanDuel, and then on DraftKings and Yahoo, you could play one of or both of Collins and Diop. For the Clippers, you've got Kawhi Leonard, 10,000 on DraftKings, 9,500 on FanDuel, $39 on Yahoo. He had 56.5 DraftKings points against his former team in San Antonio last Friday. And then you have Paul George, 8,500 on DraftKings, 8,200 on FanDuel, $35 on Yahoo. San Antonio has allowed the second most fantasy points to shooting guards this year. So the way I'm approaching this slate, as I mentioned, I'm not going to play Luka. I'm not going to play really any of the more expensive players except for possibly Jason Tatum. Looking for more of a balanced lineup. So, maybe a Kawhi Leonard, a Paul George, a Darius Garland, a few of those kind of 8K to 10K range guys, but hopefully nothing in the double digits if I can make it work. with my lineups. Let me check the chat. Beef stew is available to play and livers is in. Okay. So that will definitely probably take Jalen Duren out of the equation then. Yeah, that's going to take, I think that's going to take. The only reason I say probably is because I was in a similar situation yesterday with, who was it that we ended up taking out? Anthony Davis. He was, looking like he was going to be quite. No, that was one of the plays that I was looking at that I didn't play. The other was Tyrese Maxey. When Joel Embiid was rolled back in, I took Tyrese Maxey out of my lineups, and he ended up having a lot better game than whoever it was I replaced him with. I don't even remember now, but that was a mistake. I'm looking at the news here to see if there's anything else. Let me go ahead and hit the ownership real quick. Looks like the projected number one projected owned player on DraftKings is going to be Kyrie Irving at 35%. Ownership is a lot tighter tonight than it's been lately. Kyrie Irving, number one, 35.2. Zach Collins, 34.5. Paul George, 32.7. Garrison Matthews, 32.5. You could look at him. I'm just a little leery against Cleveland's defense. That's a really tough matchup. So even though he's chalky, I would say in tournaments, I would probably fade him pretty comfortably. I would fade Garrison Matthews against Cleveland's defense. Alex Caruso is next at 25.3. Jared Allen, 24.8. Ben Simmons, 23.7. Luka Doncic, 22%. I will be fading him. Nicholas Claxton, 20.5. DeMar DeRozan, 19.1. Chris Paul, 18.3. Spencer Dinwiddie, 18.2. Royce O'Neal and Jalen Duren are tied at 17.1. And Keita Bates-Diop is 16.2. Kenyon Martin Jr., 15.2. Tim Hardaway Jr., 15. And Julius Randle, 14.6. So it looks like Jason Tatum is pretty low owned. He's one of the pay up options that I really like. Yeah, he's way down on the list. He's only 3.8%. Wow. Yeah, I like Jason Tatum a lot. On FanDuel, the top projected owned player is Ben Simmons. Don't like him. 40.1%. Paul George, 39.3%. Then you have Levine and Mobley at 35.1%. Kyrie Irving at 34.1%. DeMar DeRozan, 29.4%. Dwight Powell, 28.7%. Tim Hardaway Jr., 28.3%. Robert Williams, 26. Luka Doncic, 23.8. Nikola Vucevic, 23.2. Royce O'Neal, 20.8. Garrison Matthews, 20.6. Malcolm Brogdon, 19.8. Marcus Morris, 19.4. Nicholas Claxton, 19.2. Dorian Finney-Smith, 19.1. And Jalen Brunson, 18.4. For Yahoo, we have Kyrie Irving, number one, 47.8. Nicholas Claxton, second at 38.8. Ben Simmons, 36. Jared Allen, 33.6. Zach LaVine, 28.2. Evan Mobley, 27.6. DeMar DeRozan, 26.4. Royce O'Neal, 25.4. Kenyon Martin Jr., 24.8. Paul George, 24.2. Zach Collins, 24. Kawhi Leonard, 19.8. Dorian Finney-Smith, 19.2. Alex Caruso, 19. Tim Hardaway Jr., 18. Patrick Williams, 17.6. Mason Plumlee, 16.6. Chris Paul, 16.4. Nikola Vucevic, 16.2. And Luka Doncic, 15. As you can see, it's really close. On a smaller slate with only 6 games, the ownership is very evenly dispersed for the most part. So any last second questions? Let me go ahead and take a look at PrizePicks. See what the latest news has done to these plays. If it's still the same. All right, I'm thinking I'm going to take the under on Keldon Johnson at 32.5 fantasy score against the Clippers defense. I think that's a pretty good play. And the more than 41.5 for Darius Garland. That's assuming if Donovan Mitchell's out. If Donovan Mitchell plays, then I'm not going to play that. But if Mitchell's out, then I like the more than on 41.5. I don't know why they changed it to more than and less than. It should be over and under. It's a lot easier to say. Anyway, hope everybody enjoyed the show. To see any last second questions here. Oh, you had a rough night last night? I'm sorry to hear that, Todd. I think a lot of our members had a lot of success last night. So hopefully we all bounce back tonight. Don't forget to join Steve and I at 9 p.m. Eastern when we'll break down the AFC and the NFC championship games. Definitely looking forward to that. It's been a couple of weeks since Steve and I have done an NFL podcast together, so we're looking forward to that. And tomorrow, I believe it's either Deb or Coach that's going to be doing NBA. I can't remember. So hope everybody has a great night, and we'll be back again tomorrow when we look to crush it in NBA, DFS, and PrizePicks. Thank you.